Today I've come to a patch of forest in Phitsanulok province in the north of Thailand. And I wasn't quite sure what I would find here. And at first I was a little disappointed. The forest is already very dry. It's only a month since the end of the rainy season. But then as I was going up a rocky outcrop, a large python came slithering up the rocks behind me and ducked into a hole in the bank. And that got me a lot more excited and interested. So I carried on, hoping that I might see something similar and prepared to get my camera set up and ready for filming. Fortunately, the ground leveled out a little bit, and I came to an area where there was still some water on the ground in some little pools, and even a few little frogs around. So that was a lot more hopeful. And almost immediately then I started to spot red-necked keelbacks. This is one of my favorite snakes. Absolutely beautiful, this incredible scarlet red on the neck. And there were lots of them. They were all around me, hunting, quite oblivious to my presence, which was really great fun for me because it meant I could move around and get my tripod and camera set up. The ground was rather rocky, though, so I couldn't follow them easily. They were clearly feeding at times, but I never actually got to see them catching a frog. It always seemed to happen behind a log or under a leaf or something like that. This is a very interesting species of snake, and it actually gives me the opportunity to talk about some of the terminology that is often used on wildlife documentaries or on YouTube channels. And people can get rather heated about the choice of words that are used when talking about animals. And so I'd like to just join that debate here. For example, this snake has venom. It has a very powerful venom, and it could actually kill a person. So if I was to describe this snake, I certainly couldn't say that it was harmless, but I would not describe this snake as dangerous. I've had them in my garden, I've had them around my school for many years in the past. There is almost no chance that somebody is going to get a bite from one of these snakes unless they have deliberately done something wrong, like picked it up, molested it, and allowed it to bite them. One of the reasons why I would say it's not dangerous as such is because it doesn't have front fangs like the cobras and the vipers. I couldn't be moving around here as I am now if there was a whole bunch of cobras and vipers on the ground, or at least I would have to be very, very careful where I stepped, and there would be a risk that one of those snakes might strike at me and bite me. And with those front fang snakes that have specialized fangs for delivering venom, a bite in less than a second would probably be enough to make me very ill or possibly to kill me. Now, these keelbacks don't have those kinds of specialist front fangs. In fact, they don't even have particularly specialist rear fangs. Many rear fanged snakes that are mildly venomous have a groove in the fang, and the venom flows down that groove into the bite wound. Well, these keelbacks don't even have that. They just have large teeth at the back of the mouth which cause an injury, and the venom from a gland called the Duvernois gland. I hope I've said that correctly. I'm saying it in English, of course. The Duvernois was French. He discovered this gland. It's named after him. And venom, or a venomous substance, is produced there, and it flows down those back teeth into the injury that is caused by them. Now, that means that In order to really suffer a dangerous bite, you'd have to allow this snake to bite you for a long time. And there is an instance of that occurring, and unfortunately, it was fatal. Or you would have to allow it to bite you repeatedly. That gland itself is a different kind of gland to the venom gland of vipers and cobras, although there is great debate I see in the literature about whether one has evolved from the other. That is still unresolved as far as I know. So, as I say, this is a rear-fanged snake. It has a strong venom, but it lacks a powerful and quick delivery system for that venom. And so I feel absolutely safe and secure moving around these snakes here and watching them close to me. In addition to all of that, it's a very mild mannered snake as well, and it is not quick to bite at all, even when picked up. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the use of the word poisonous and the word venomous. Now, poisonous has often been used to mean both senses, and so some people get rather upset if they use the word a poisonous snake, for example, when they really mean a venomous snake. And it's understandable because this kind of mistake has been repeated in wildlife documentaries and in books for a long time. Much better to use the correct terminology to say that something is poisonous if it is dangerous to you because you eat it. For example, a toad, if you picked it up and ate it, or some kind of berries that we know in the countryside, if you ate them, they might be poisonous and they're going to make you sick. Venomous, on the other hand, is dangerous to you if it bites you. For example, a cobra or a viper. And the fascinating thing about this snake, and it really is truly astonishing, is it's one of a handful of snakes that is both. It is venomous, as I've just discussed, and it produces venom, but it is also poisonous. The red area on the neck is able to exude poison. So if this snake is molested there, if a predator came and tried to bite it there, little droplets of liquid will come out, and that liquid is poisonous. It is believed that that poison, at least in part, is taken in by the snake from poisonous toads that it eats. In other words, it takes the poison from the toad, sequesters it, and is able to store it in its skin. There is a structure there called the nuchal gland, and if itself is molested, then those drops of poison can come out in the neck. I once found one of these snakes that had been badly injured in that area, and there was a chunk missing. I've always wondered since what happened to whatever it was that bit the snake or attacked the snake. Anyway, as I said before, it was so mildly mannered, this snake, that I was able easily to nurse it back to health, treating the injury, and after a few weeks let it go back into the wild again. Whilst researching this, I've found out, in fact, that there are also snakes that are not venomous but are poisonous, such as garter snakes, who, because they take in poison also from animals that they eat, and that's stored in their bodies, gives them some protection, presumably, from predators. Curious how the seeds here of this plant seem to reflect the colors of the snake that I've been filming. These red-necked keelbacks eat frogs and toads, as we've already mentioned. That's where they get the poison from for their skin. And apparently also fish, although I've never seen that myself. On many occasions, I've been attracted to one of these snakes by the sound of a frog in distress. Frogs will often give a very loud, high call when they've been caught by something, which is not a pleasant thing. But when you learn about that sound, it does help you to locate snakes. And I've done so on many occasions. And actually, not only snakes, but on some occasions, I thought I was running towards a snake because I could hear a frog calling in that way, and it turned out to be something else, like a lizard that was in the process of trying to swallow the frog. Now, this is a curious thing. Of course, from the frog's point of view, it has absolutely nothing to lose. It's about to die. And by making a sound in that way for perhaps a few seconds or longer than that in some cases, if it's a particularly large frog, the snake might take a long time to get it down. It may attract other animals. I mean, it attracted me after all. And I have on one occasion seen it be successful for the frog, where a frog was being swallowed by a snake, but it was very large. The snake was really going to struggle, and a bird was attracted to the sound and came down, and in its fright, the snake released the frog, and both snake and frog managed to get away, and the bird was left with neither. I don't know if it was intending to try to pick off the frog if it had a chance, or it was just curious to see what was happening. Incredible to see these snakes hunting in this way. This is such an active predator. The eyesight clearly very, very sharp to certain kinds of movement, is my guess. Just the sudden movements of a jumping frog, and these snakes get very, very excited indeed. Whereas my slow, deliberate movements around them with the camera, they seem to be ignoring altogether. Thank goodness. Towards the end, I found a more juvenile snake that had less red on the neck, and that was a very relaxed individual, just lying on the side of the track up through the forest where I was walking, and I was very easily able to get some film of it. As anyone who knows snakes or wildlife generally will understand, it is a rare opportunity indeed to be able to work around and move around wild animals without them really taking any notice of you. And then to be able to film it as well is truly special. These redneck keelbacks are found through quite a wide area, the Indian subcontinent, right across Southeast Asia. This really is a very striking snake indeed. Not a particularly long snake though, they only grow to about 80 centimeters in length. In total, I was probably around these snakes for 3 or 4 hours today. Just an absolutely fabulous experience for me. This hill here, I feel, is quite typical of many places I've seen over the years since I came to Thailand. There are some larger trees here, but no really big ones. I'm guessing this was logged out of big trees many years ago, and then there was a disaster in 1989 that involved illegal logging, and the Thai king at that time banned all logging, which has just been absolutely wonderful for this country. And since then, many places that when I first came were rather barren, had a bit of secondary growth, some bamboo growing on them, have had now 30 years to recover. Trees have come back and wildlife has come back. Of course, snakes were not the only delight to be found here. This is a tarantula burrow, but unfortunately the occupant is probably hidden away inside, and I waited for a while, but it didn't come out. Many people are also quite surprised to hear that we have crabs in the forest, many species of land crabs here in Thailand. I know that there are some people who like to watch the clips that I have on this channel, and Sasha, I've heard that you've been watching some of the other clips, so I dedicate this one to you. Sasha lives in Bangkok, and I know he's a real wildlife enthusiast.